you also, you make effort to say, okay, we need to keep this planet clean, trying to clean the oceans, the beaches, the shores and all things. There are organizations throughout the world doing that. The organization also about trees, or we planting trees and all this stuff. Those things are great because you see the need for them, and so that we can sustain life in this planet. But there are other things we've been neglected that we think they're not important. Yes, they are important. By the way, I do not have any PhD of anything. I told you already, I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert of anything at all. I'm not claiming that I know things more than most of you. But what I'm trying to say here right now, I have made some observations concerning the way we are going in this earth that actually becomes problematic for us now, and also is going to be continuing to be problematic for the next generations. We have survived this planet for 21 centuries so far. That's a miracle, because the way we're going, I can tell, if really there was not, I would say, a supreme being that actually sustained this planet, this life, the way we were going, if we were the one in charge, we wouldn't be here. Because every day our actions and our effort in some ways are not helping this planet. I am going to read a verse to you, actually a few verses, but they all have the same idea. And those verses that I'm going to read give you an idea of what I'm trying to say. Because, first of all, there's a saying, actually a word of God, that says, okay, man should not live by bread alone, but also should live by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. What does that entail? It entails that we are a being that actually can live in two important, pillars, I should say, if I may use these terms. We sometimes focus more on one and we neglect the other. If not most of the time, we focus on getting our physical being in a good shape, where we can see the result, the effect of our work to keep us in good shape. And I applaud that. This is great. We all must do the same thing. However, it's possible if there is no physical limitation. However, and I've seen people who actually blow my mind. The reason being because they don't have all the parts that I have, physiologically speaking, but yet they're still out there. They're getting in good shape. Just recently, they actually named a young fellow that do not have the limbs from the bottom, but he has the upper limbs, and he is the fastest runner in two hands. I can imagine a person doing something like that. I cannot do it. I applaud that. So my point is, we're spending a lot of time focusing on the physical aspect of our life, but neglected the spiritual aspect of our life. For some people, they actually have no clue what I'm talking about. The reason being is because since they were born, they were kids, nobody ever taught them. Nobody ever gave them direction concerning their spiritual being. I was one of them too when I was a kid. Okay? So when I became older, then things started to, come along, and I started to see things differently in life. So I got introduced to some of those things in life. Understand that my life don't depend only on the physical, but also on the spiritual. If it's not more important, according to God's word, that your spiritual life is more important than the physical life. Because your physical being, all the things you do from outside, will profit nothing. Okay? But if you've been with me, you study with me some of the lessons before, you will see that what I'm talking about. So, in other words, so we got to be in a place where we keep the balance between our physical being and also our spiritual being. And this is where we are right now in 21st century. I cannot talk about 20th century. It's already past. So I can relate to some of the things happen, but for now, we are here in 21st century. We're all in it together. It's not me only, it's everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're sick, whether you're healthy, whether you're black or yellow, whatever color. It doesn't matter, all these things. There are many things in this life that we suffer. We become, I would say, victims of all them. It's because of our own wrongdoing. So many of us, we do things because we see other people doing it. So we kind of applaud that, and then we feel like we want to be participating in that. Okay? Many of you do it because of some circumstance coming into your life. It's not something that you were looking forward to. It happens. We understand that. There are certain things also that happen in your life as a result of something happened many, many, many years before. Now the fruit comes out. Okay, but by the way, I forgot to mention this. Let me mention this from the beginning, right now, because if I forgot, I wish I had remembered that at the beginning. This lesson that I'm teaching right now is not for younger kids. Okay, it's mostly for those of you who are adults, or at the point that past 18 years old. Because I'm going to use certain language, certain examples, that may not be appropriate for the younger ones. So keep that in mind. If you're watching this video and you have younger kids with you, please ask them to leave, or maybe you can watch this on later time when you are alone, so you can, it doesn't really hurt them in some ways. My intention is not trying to hurt anybody. It's trying to kind of like bring a vivid picture, a clear picture of our society, where we are, what we're doing. Not in a way to criticize, not in a way to condemn, not in a way also to condone all those things, but in a way to bring information and some of the things that you may not know, depending how you get involved, whatever, so that you can understand. I myself, I have some difficulties too in life. I had, been victim of some things, and so therefore I can relate with some of you that some of the things that happen in your life, not because of your own doing, but because of those circumstances beyond your control. But I know there are some people actually that whatever you say cannot change their mind. I am not really focusing on that to try to change your mind. I'm just only trying to give you the information you need to know. Whatever you do with that information, it's up to you. Because of the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, we're all going to be standing accountable to God for the life that He has given us to live in this planet Earth for whatever period of time that you live, or the duration of time that you live on this planet Earth. We all have, like you have seen, I have pondered on that many, many, many times over. We all have an expiration date in our lives. So it's important that you understand that what I'm doing is serious. It's not a game. It's not something I'm trying to prove anything to you, and I'm trying to make you feel bad, and I'm trying to make people, feel better. Now, I mentioned that I was going to read a few verses to you. I'm going to do that right now, and then from there, I'm going to introduce the lesson to you. And then now we're going to start the teaching with the lessons that I have in front of me. So now, with my Bible opens in front of me, in my hand, I'm in the book, one of the books of the New Testament, the first book of the New Testament, Matthew. And the chapter is 15, chapter 15. I'm going to read these three verses for you. I'm going to go from Matthew 15, chapter 15, and I'm going to read verse 11. And then I'm going to read verse 18 and then verse 20. If you have your Bible handy with you, which I always encourage you to do so, however form you use, electronically, or you have your Bible just like I have one here, that's fine. Now, Matthew 15, verse 11 says, "Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man." Verse 18, see, there's the same idea here, but it's worth repeating. That's why I'm using all those verses. "But those things which proceedeth out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man." And verse 20, "These are the things which defile the man, but to eat with unwashed hand defile not a man." What is it talking about here? We're talking about something very specific here. Life, like I said, is not about the physical only. It's also about the spiritual. Now, realizing that a lot of people define spiritual different ways. But, there's such a things in life, we can be ignorant about things. Doesn't mean because you seek spirituality, a certain thing doesn't mean it's right. Because I think the principle here in all our lives, in everything that we do, in every aspect of our lives, is to be viewed as right and wrong. You understand? It's not a matter of what you do that makes something, worthwhile in a way that you do it. It's a thing that you do that is being right. Do you understand? Or if you do something, that for instance, you can do something good in a wrong way. Therefore, that things you do in a wrong way that is good is also wrong. You follow? This is what I'm getting at, because I'm going to talk about that when I get there. But I just want to make get yourself ready, because this is very important. And so we're going to do it. Last time, the title of the lessons today is this: being filled with all unrighteousness. The title of our lessons today is being filled with all unrighteousness. That's the big heading. We're going to have some subtitles. We're going to have some topics, some points that we're going to develop throughout the lessons. But for now, the big heading, the one that's going to cover all the lessons we're going to be teaching, they're all going to be under this: being filled with all unrighteousness. You see, unrighteousness is the opposite of righteousness. See, so that means a person, a human being, can be filled with righteousness, and it also can be filled with unrighteousness, depending on the one that you plugged in, depending on the one that you conduct your life to. And then at the same time, that person who are, for instance, filled with all unrighteousness may say that they are also, what's the word I'm looking for? We talked about it just a while ago. Spirituality in that sense, but being filled with unrighteousness. Unrighteousness is kind of like a big umbrella. There are so many examples we can use to show you what unrighteousness is. There's not one thing to be qualified as unrighteousness. But in instance, we're going to talk about relationship, about human being, romantic and sexual relationships. We are talking about that type of unrighteousness right now. Okay? So we're not talking about money now. We're not talking about I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? Sometimes, by trying to think about something you can never. We're not talking about the battle right now. We're not talking about, politics. We're not talking about this and this and that. But we're talking about specifically, like I said, we will be talking about some specific sins that are perversions in our midst. And so those sins we're going to talk about, they are now being elevated as wonderful, as beautiful, and things like that. People are coming into those things, by the bunch, I would say. Most of them because they saw other people doing it. And so therefore, it must be okay because a lot of people are doing it. So that's the kind of thing we're going to do. Now, under this banner, under this umbrella here, being filled with all unrighteousness, we're going to talk about some of the things that we consider, or God consider, or tell us they are unrighteousness. They are abomination to Him. So now, last time when we met in passing during the Easter season, that was the last time we met, the day of the resurrection of Christ, I sort of like addressed a little bit the topic that we will be talking about today. Address the subject of the alternate lifestyle of romantic relationships. See, what do I mean by that when I say alternate? Because of the fact of the matter is, human relationship is kind of complicated now. It has been a time, you know, if you've been around for more than 50 years, or maybe less than 50 years, 30 or some plus years, okay, even younger, you've never heard certain things. But now you're hearing them. Not only that, you're seeing them happening in front of you. Okay? It used to be, if I'm talking to somebody, let's say if I say to somebody, I am married, just like that, there is no doubt in that person's mind. They know exactly what I'm talking about. They know that they may not know the person, you know, that I married, but they know exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody have any idea or any confusion about what I'm talking about. They know exactly what I'm talking about. They know as a man, if I said I'm married, they know that I'm married with a woman. There's no other alternate possibility. But right now, we are in the 21st century. When somebody, a man says he's married, you need to ask the guy, who are you married? Or sometimes they let you know right about. They said, okay, oh, a guy's talking, or say, oh, my husband. Then you know what they're talking about. The same goes with the woman. It says, oh, I'm married, oh, my wife. So now they let you know what they're talking about. You understand? So now, we need to talk about this thing. Okay? We need to talk about it because it becomes, like I was talking about earlier concerning, you know, when you have termites, you know, it becomes a problem. There are confusions out there, and it's growing up more and more, because now we get to a point where now they're not talking only about what we used to know, or our pronouns, or about our gender, you know, the things like that. People are trying to redefine who they are in the way they identify themselves in the society. So they want me, they want you, they want everybody to accept that, and then to put everybody in a place where we kind of like to figure out how to address them. And yet at the same time, this is the hypocrisy right here. When we go to the marketplace, we have no problem to identify what is a bottle of water. There's no question about it. The only thing is, there are different kinds of water, different brand. That's the only thing we have, but we all know what water is. We don't change the essence. Okay, we don't call water something else. Water is still water, no matter what. Okay? So we got labels and things that tells you things like that. And so we go about our lives. Everybody, when I say bread, I don't have to define. Everybody knows what bread is. You understand? In the same, I mean, the context is different, but the principle is the same. Think about it, right? If I say husband, it shouldn't be a problem. But it's got to redefine now. When I say bread, now everybody can say, okay, oh, well, there are different types of bread. But bread is bread. But it doesn't change. Just like we see now, when you say husband or you say wife, It's got to redefine. The same way when you talk about marriage, it's got to redefine. Because not everybody agrees on what marriage is. Everybody has different opinions of what marriage is. And that's what the problem is. Because we cannot agree on this. We are all living in the same planet Earth. This is the same parcel of Earth. Right here. So we're going to get to a point where it's going to become just like we had, what we call it, when those people were trying to build, a fortress so they can reach, the throne of God. They're trying to build the Tower of Babel, and God confused their languages. It confused them actually, and then now they speak different languages. So they could not understand each other. I'm not a prophet. I'm not predicting anything that this is going to happen, that one day we're going to get confused, we don't understand each other. But I suspect that might happen because we are bringing things not in a positive way, but in a negative way to destroy our way of life. The way that we were supposed to go. You understand? The principle of our lives, we see it in every aspect of it. For instance, if you were to get in the car to drive it, it's the same principle across the board. Everybody drives the car. We may have different style, the way we sit, the way we hold the steering wheel. We have different, brand and make and model and color. These are not really relevant to the car itself. It's relevant to your preference, what you want. That's why they give you varieties. But the principle is the same. We all need to use the brakes in order to stop the car. We all need to press the accelerator in order to make the car go forward and backwards, reverse. And also now we have a different type. We have electric vehicles and also motor vehicles, that kind of stuff. But they're all used for the same mean, transportation. The principle of driving is the same way. Even though we may use computer to have a vehicle, what we call self-driving, the principle is still the same. Just like we had before, we have manual transmission, so that we do all the work, we do all these things. Now we have mostly all the cars driving, especially electric ones, they all are automatic transmission, which means that they all follow the same principle. It doesn't change even if you're driving a Mercedes, you're driving a Toyota, whatever brand you're driving, the principle is the same. It doesn't change. What did I mean? It means that the core, value of that vehicle across the board, we all do exactly the same thing. We never change. We don't get in the vehicle and try driving it differently. No, we all follow the same principle. There's nobody, somebody might be very, I don't like using that word, but acting stupidly when they see a stop sign, they don't want to stop. But the law says that the stop sign, you need to respect it. So therefore, when that happens, you come into a stop sign, every driver would put the foot on the brake to stop the vehicle. Nobody wants to ignore that. When the light turns red, it means every vehicle must stop. That's what we do, because we follow the principle. You follow? So now we falter. Why? When it comes to relationship, the principle has been given. The instructions have been given also. But what we do, we're trying to change that. We're trying to put everybody's life in jeopardy. We may not realize it. For some people, like I said, depending on the circumstance, you get into this thing, whatever it is, because I'm not here to accuse anybody, it's your fault, it's this and this. Not, because you're going to see later on, maybe not today in the lesson, where we all come from to get into this situation. It's very difficult to put the foundation here, because I think I may already make some people feel uncomfortable with that, because they think I'm talking to them directly. That may be so for now, but you're going to see that I'm talking to everyone, including myself. I'm not talking to you directly because for some reason you are part of this group or you have a different lifestyle, whatever. That's not the point at all with this lesson. I wish that you can hear me. You can hear what I'm talking about. Okay? I use all those analogies in order to bring you to the place where you need to be to have the listening ear. Not the critical mind that you always have to defend. You always have to protect your position. No, that's not what we're doing right here. I'm not bringing a position to elevate mine higher than yours. I'm trying to talk to you, having a conversation of these things that everybody, talk about. Because a lot of people sometimes, they don't want to talk because they don't want to offend people. Like I said, I think every generation of every century since the fall of man within God's creation had to deal with this complicated subject that I'm introducing to you right now. Unfortunately, this is not going to cease anytime soon. Do not hold your breath because for this generation, our generation, we are dealing with it as well. The alternate lifestyle that I'm referring is none other than what we have seen happening in our midst, known as homosexuality. You know that. This is not something that you're going to be, you're shocked about it. No, you're not shocked. Everybody talks about this. Now it gets to a point right now, they have slogans out there. They have even their flag, color out there to tell you who they are. And then it gets to a point right now, it gets so elevated right now that they get to a point where everybody have to respect what's happening, because now they give him access also to do the things that they couldn't do before, as far as getting into a marriage relationship together with the person. Here's the term they use all the time. I've seen many presidents of the United States use that. They said, okay, to be with the person you love, with the one you love. You follow? As if this is something they must say, so they can make a group of people happy. I think we are supposed to be in a position where now we have to uphold what's right, and then to kind of have some I would say compassion in a way, to very carefully and very lovingly telling people about what they're doing wrong. It's not about hurting some other people because of something. I just don't want to tell you the whole thing right now, because if I do, it's going to destroy the whole work that I'm trying to do here now. When I get there, they're going to see it. Okay? So that's the problem. Because we get to a point right now we're afraid of telling people the truth. My friend, if you were to sit in front of your physician, okay? Your medical physician, your personal one, if you were to sit in front of him, would you want him or her to tell you the truth about what's going on in your system, in your body? Do you want him to tell you things that they make you feel happy? Or you want the truth, no matter how hard it may be? Do you follow what I'm saying? Now you're going to say, oh, this is personal. Everything is personal, my friend. Everything is personal. There's nothing that's not personal. Do you follow? Everything is personal. Just a side jokes. As I was coming here in order to actually teach the lesson, you know how it is. There are people out there, they drive, they don't follow that much the rules. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. I was coming, down the road, and there's this other vehicle. I didn't know if it was a lady driving because, I couldn't tell from the distance, but when I get, close to the vehicle, I could tell it was a female driving. what she was doing, I could see that he's coming from the opposite side, but he's trying to get into my the other side of the road. Where I was heading south, she was facing north, but coming from north, trying to merge into south so he can make a U-turn to go up south. But my car was coming very fast because it has no reason. There is no street light or anything like I'm coming close. But she realized, okay, I can still make it. And then she made the turn, very close proximity to my car. So every driver would do exactly the same thing, but maybe some people probably not choose to do, but the reaction, it's no-brainer. You just, first of all, you hit the brakes, and then you hit the horn, and I go, beep, 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 just to let the person, but the reason I'm doing this, because that's the way I can speak to that person, let them know what you're doing is wrong. Because you're going to put my life in danger. And you put your life in other people because of the result of what you're doing. So now guess what happened? She made a turn, and then further down the road, there's this traffic light. I'm right there. She made it her own business to get close to me and then get my attention and then give my finger in the air. I knew that she would do that. I already suspected that she was going to do that. You know why is that, people? First of all, it's pride. Okay, because now I find out there are people out there, a lot of people out there, they do not like people to tell them what to do. Okay, and besides, they do not want people to tell them when they're doing something wrong. In other words, they don't like being called out. That was my way to call her out. What you're doing is wrong, because you got to wait for your turn. What would it cost you if you wait for another minute or another second to let me go by and then you make the U-turn, which there's no car behind me? But you just have to do right in front of me, forcing me to step on the brake. Let's say right now I didn't get the brakes. You know, I mean, it could have been an accident because I was coming so fast, and, close proximity to her, it would have been a colossal accident. I could have lost my life, she could have lost her life, and other people involved too. So that's what we're talking about here, my friend. We live in this life, we have all the principles, we have all the precepts, all the standards, we have the laws, we have the instructions. But sometimes what we do, myself included too, I'm guilty of all these things I'm telling you. It's not because I'm better, I have kept all the laws and everything. But what we do, we just ignore those things, as if that they're not important. I mean, let me give you an example. Let's say because of the close proximity that I was with this lady, use that same example, right? And then I get involved in an accident. Do you think it would be my fault because if I get in an accident? It wouldn't be my fault at all. It would be her fault. Just because she didn't want to wait. Now you're going to say, oh, you don't know her circumstance, you don't know if they're running for an emergency and everything. That's beside the point. Because you're not flying in the air, you're driving down the road. So that means you have to follow all the rules. Especially if you're going to come from the other side and cut through in front of somebody who's coming in. Because I have no idea that she would do that. Because she doesn't have the right of way. So now I get involved.